Hello.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Sorry, we weren't there last week. We've been having a hard time finding a room to record this.
Yeah, so we got a little creative this week,
Yes,
but
so we're in a totally different place, and we do apologize for our uh, fans out there that they have a keen ear and picking up echoes and little noises here and there, but we are really doing our best. So put it in the comments if you have suggestions if we can manipulate this recorder in a way to make this a little bit better and with less background noise and such.
yeah, I was gonna say if you can recommend some sort of software or tool for
Yeah,
podcast recording
we're
instead.
because we're using a pretty good
Yeah,
microphone.
microphone.
Yeah, so
Just gotta get a little more technical.
yeah, we gotta get it. But your supports, your views, likes, and comments would really encourage us to spend a little
Invest
more
more
time,
time in the
invest more time and energy into bringing up the quality to
quality
your satisfaction
to your standards.
to standards.
And no, the bar is who knows where the bar is at this point.
Is there even a
Yes,
bar?
there a bar. Uh,
All right. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm a little sick, or I've been sick, but
Yeah.
I'm not contagious anymore. Just cannot recover my voice.
Yeah, it's whatever it's going on. I've been also coughing here and there, like some dry, quick coughs that I cannot shake off for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
That is why people get vaccinated, please, so we don't get this weird, unexplained sicknesses.
Sickness symptoms.
All right, let's jump to the topic because today is gonna be another relatively short episode because it's busy, guys. It's busy.
Mm-hmm. So the topic last week was friendships, right? Friendship breakups.
Mm-hmm.
This time we will continue on that friendship kind of trend, but not breakups anymore.
Yeah,
Different
yeah. So
aspect.
it's a very interesting conversation, and it can go really, really deep and really, really wide. Something I actually haven't read the paper myself, but one of my friends was telling me um, about this research that's been done about how many individual you can really have at any point of time in your lifetime in close circle to you that you kind of keep relationship with them updated. And then there are, interestingly, there are like uh, no matter what type of person you are, what type of work schedule and unbusy life you have, the answers and statistics were very similar on average for people. And of course, we have different circles of friends that, okay, let's say 100% engagement, 80% engagement, 60%, 40%, something like that. And by engagement, it's like how often you check up on them or
Mm-hmm.
how often they check up on you, how often you see them in person, and how much of your life events you share with them actively and such. And interestingly, the whole point of that study is the limitation that human being has, that we are social creatures and we are designed to live in community with people, but we do have limitation and we cannot just, we are mentally limited on fitting more than a certain number of people in each of these circles. I don't recall exactly how many was the average for each circle, but I recall that the total number of all circles to the like really really far one that you might just, that aunt that you call, your parents call, force you to just say Happy New Year to them, like that would be the last level of circle. Including all that, it's 150.
Hmm.
150 people, and that's not so big.
But that's 150 overall, like in your lifetime, or
No, at each point of time.
oh, each one.
So, like right now, if you take a snapshot of your life, and then you put people in the circles, it's on average, of course, there's a standard deviation.
And I was like,
Right.
damn, I don't think I had that many.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it's a standard deviation over people, and I think over each person over timeline, because there might be times in your life, like when you're in college, that
Yeah.
you just
Have a
have more
bunch.
people.
Yeah.
But interestingly, in those times, you have less people in your farther circles because you're just so involved with your buddies that you just your parents cannot get a hold on you to call on that to that aunt.
Yeah.
Something like that, and that was very much of a relief for me because I'm always am so judgmental of myself that I'm not doing a good job of catching up with certain people, of oh my god, I lost touch with this friend, that nothing really particular happened with that between us, like how we were talking about in our last episode. Just we drew up, like we what's the word for it,
Grew apart.
grew apart, not drew apart, grew apart, because there's other things filled up my 24 hours. And that just made me feel a little bit better that it's a physical limitation. Of course, you can make an effort and maybe add more, but the burnout that it brings it, and it actually has an effect of how you have that relationship, that comes more of an obligation than something is naturally occurring and is full of joy. So, yeah, what do you think? Do you think that's
Yeah, I was wondering like how does that correlate with like your Facebook friends?
yeah, I guess social media, if you want to count that, because on a scroll that you do like 10 minutes, you get an update on a lot of people's lives, right? Well, as I say, don't count that because that's.
Oh, okay. So I remember I had this teacher, and she's like, "Oh yeah, like I still count you as like someone that I interact with because whenever I post something, you like it, or I see that you like this photo, you like this update."
But you did see this person in person,
Yeah,
that they told you that.
but over many years
Yeah,
after,
yeah, okay,
right?
okay.
So like, maybe that also counts, or I don't know.
But would they be occupying a little corner of your brain when you think about all the people? Like, do you think about them when you want to send Christmas cards to people? I know you don't send
Yeah.
Christmas cards, but you know what I mean.
No, but I think about it like, yeah, occasionally, well, because I see the feed, right? Then I think about them.
But are there people that are in your showing up in your feed that you just couldn't care less, and you just like pass through it, go pass through it?
Mm, yeah, but I try to clean up my Facebook very often. No, but yeah, that happens. But usually, I would see some things and be like, "Oh, I don't like this person anymore," and just like delete. No, uh, then but 100, I'm still hung up on the 150.
So, what do you think about your first circle? If you want to count in your mind, how many people are in that circle?
Oh,
I mean, I'm counting too. You guys
yeah.
count too. Let's just all take a moment and count the
In my
first circle.
and then first circle means what? Like consistent
Like you
communication.
technically are involved, not necessarily seeing them, but you're involved with them in a daily basis.
Okay, does that count family or no?
It depends. Yeah, of course. Because like I mean, I'm counting because those are even like I have interaction with them. I spend time with them for them. So yes. Who else is gonna be in there?
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's gonna be a lot. Let me
1,
see.
2,
So
and even like some of like for example even coworkers. Sure, we have so many coworkers, but a
yeah.
lot of them we don't even bother. Or if you're in a meeting with them, we don't really count them.
So far I counted like 17.
17 people you engage on a daily basis with them?
Not daily,
Daily basis. Your dad's probably
Every
some
now
of
and
them
then, every now and then does it count? Like
no, that
at
would
least
be,
once a week or
that would
twice a
be,
week?
oh, that would be your second.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So
yeah,
daily.
Yeah.
So let me see. Then uh Yeah, like 10.
Yes, that's interestingly the average number.
Mm-hmm.
It's something between 5 to 10. Considering how social you are, how what your job is gonna
And that
cost.
doesn't count co-workers, you said, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, it could count a co-worker. For example, you're my co-worker, and also like somebody that's in my office that I actually on a daily basis ask them how you're doing, or we talk about what they do in the activities of the day.
Mhm.
That kind of counts. But a
Yeah,
lot
but
of
if
them
anything,
don't
that
count.
might go up like one or
Exactly.
two, not really like a
Like if you
significant
see
number.
them, you can just walk past them and not say anything else, or don't like that wouldn't count. So yes, interesting is 5 to 10, um, and then the next one is like 10 to 15 or something like that, or 10 to 20, and it's and then obviously it gets bigger and bigger, and the number gets more because you interact with them less, but it's a bigger circle. And I have like a lot of, still I do have a lot of guilt toward not being in contact with some of my friends as much as I want. And this helps me feel a little bit better because I feel like they also are struggling with fitting me in their life. And it's because, there's nothing has happened. If I see them, I don't want to do anything other than just hanging out with them. And but just we're so geographically far away from each other, and doing no correlative work together, that unfortunately they're such farther in such farther circles than I want them to be. And same for them, because actually that's one of my friends that told me about that circle.
Oh, okay.
Because every time I call them or they call me, like, I wish we talked more. We both are feeling that. And then I want to say this. I know I'm talking too much right now, but something that I found useful. One time I sat down and wrote down all the people that I could possibly think of that I want to have more regular relationship with them. And then I tried and scheduled like monthly meeting or calls with them. And for a while it worked, but then again it just didn't work out. And because it was interesting, it's actually, I have a couple of interesting examples that two of them I really wanted to have them there and they wanted to, but then like they apparently didn't want to, or it wasn't priority, and then now they want to, but I just cannot fit them in there. And that's one of the reasons that I really, really am envious of people who grow up in a city, then kind of stay in that area for most of their life, because the odds of you having reunions, Christmas parties, and such for them is much more, and they can feel like they are in a more supportive system, and they have more friends, you know. And compared to me, that I had to constantly move really big moves, and I feel like have to do that even more now. It's never gonna stop, and I worry so much that when I'm gonna land, that is going to be relatively a long-term thing. It's gonna be so far from the people that I want to have in my circle, and I'm just scared as the shit out of me. But I don't know what to do about that. Really.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, because I used to move a lot too, right? So I moved from like college, and then another, and then job, and then another college, and then okay, now I need to get another job. But I kind of came back to the same place where I would like to see myself long term, right? But we don't know where we're gonna end up, right? There's no guarantee at all after this. Like, where do you go? Because there are other priorities in there.
Yeah. What do you call a friend?
What do you mean?
What kind of things you consider somebody has for you, or you have for them, that they would be not just a familiar person, a friend?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain,
Very
I
hard,
guess.
right?
Because sometimes it's just like it clicks, right? It's like, oh, like I very much enjoy my time around them, or like we have things in common, and I never like dread hanging out with them or something. That would be one thing, and then that they are kind of like in the same beliefs, I guess. Like I never had a friend that is completely opposite of me, or like they have like a whole polar opposite opinion on some topic that I
Right,
do,
right.
right? So they had to have like a similar mindset, I would say. And then what else? Uh,
Does this how often you see them have any impact on if you see somebody as a friend or not?
no, because I have friends from college where like they can just randomly call me like on a day and we can talk for 2 hours. Like we just picked up from where we left off before.
What if somebody that is far and also is not on your social media?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have friends like that. Like when I joined my fraternity, like my four,
Mm-hmm.
like I was very far away, and when I went to grad school,
Mm-hmm.
and never really checked social media or anything. Just and then you just get a random invite like, oh, we're gonna do some cabin trip. Like, you wanna come? And
Yeah,
you're like,
right.
yeah.
So just sharing something with them.
Yeah, like we share an experience from a long time ago, right? And then we just know, even with other fraternity brothers, like every time I hang out with them, it's just like, oh yeah, like the same as it was before, kind of thing.
So, for example, I want you to think about this. When we were in our previous university, so many of those people might be. I'm not suggesting. I'm just saying, like be counted as friends.
Mm-hmm.
Are there number of people that are not friends anymore in your brain because we're done with graduate school and we don't see them,
Mm-hmm.
or it's not necessarily. Well, sure, we're gonna see them in a conference. We're gonna say hi, but would you still count them as friends if you were counting them as friends before, or not?
Mm.
Or were they?
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I'd really counted them as friends
Uh huh.
in the first place, right?
Okay.
Because yeah, I think so. There's something like that. But I don't know. Because yeah, what? Because otherwise I just hang up or like update with them at conferences or things like that. But outside of that, it's not like we're like, oh, like happy birthday. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
happy birthday, right? But we're like, I don't know, some random thing.
yeah. It's
But
interesting.
I don't know.
Another thing I think about friend is how comfortable would I feel to just call somebody and ask for something? Would
Mm-hmm.
that, I feel that's one of those moments that I actually feel like, am I this person's friend?
Mm.
Or it's gonna look like, oh, I'm just needing them and I'm asking for something. That's one of the really clarifying moments for me. If that
Yeah.
has nothing to do with how far or how often or anything like that. Um, it doesn't even need to be that much of a deep relationship. It's just kind of as long as I feel they also feel I'm there feeling that they're
Mm-hmm.
my friends. I feel justified to
Yeah, I
do
guess that's
that.
true.
Like it's that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Transactional
Mm-hmm.
thing that do we have a transactional kind of going or no?
No. Yeah.
Right? Such an
Yeah. Trying to
interesting
think.
human thing the whole friendship is. And then another thing I think about is that, family with all the extensions of them, you kind of like you're not kind of you're literally born into it. You didn't have any choice to it. And then how many of the people who are family are actually friends?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I was thinking. Not just now. Like, okay, like I know if I ever need something, my first like option is always my family. But that's just been the case for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not like
It's not for me
yeah.
at all.
So
Like,
that's it. It's
yeah,
just that's who I can count on. Like
exactly.
I don't have no doubt. Like I can just call them, my parents or my brothers, and they will help me, right? So that's why I never search for like I'm gonna ask my friends for this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Unless it's like, oh, can you help me move?
Right, right.
That's the most I think I ever asked somebody or some of my friends like, hey, can you help me move? Or like, you know, pet sit or
Right,
something.
right, right.
Like that's as far as that. I never asked anybody for like I don't know like a loan or something. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know something like that. Or like I don't know, what else can you ask for friends? A lot of things, I guess.
Connections.
Connections. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's more like my fraternity. Like if I ever like where it depends where they work, right? I'm gonna ask like
Mm.
for advice, like oh, like you work in this financial institution, like do you recommend I don't know something
Right,
about this
right, right.
place, or like what do you know about this or that car dealerships? I don't know, but
But
yeah.
outside of the circle of your immediate family,
Hmm.
so do you count your brothers as your friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So if you, I know it's such a hard question to ask, but
Like
if
we're
you were
friendly,
to
like.
choose them, where you choose them to be your brothers? You know what I mean? Like, because friends are by choice,
Hmm.
family is not. Would you?
But I don't know
I
because I
know it's
cannot
such a
I
tricky.
cannot see them like other than like we were friends and we're also brothers.
That's not generally the case. That doesn't have to be
I,
the case.
I know it doesn't have to be the case,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
as
yeah.
for me, it is like I know there's a lot of times like the brothers like don't speak to each other or
No,
the
no, no.
siblings
You
on.
speak with each other and you meet each other and you do things for each other,
Hmm.
but are you each other friend?
Yeah.
Like I feel like being friend to me is like it comes with this like level of vulnerability that you like pour yourself. And I know like friendship has different levels, but you just so much yourself where you don't fear judgment or like fear that something is gonna come get back at you. But I think I know a lot of people have that with their family that they have to kiss.
Mm,
I don't want to do this because later it's gonna be this,
no.
or they're gonna go tell my parents, and then it's gonna change this and that, you know. But friends, there's just this connection, that
Hmm.
disposability of it, and also the fact that you chose them, that has that liberty of it. Like
Yeah. Like
yeah,
I don't like. I mean, every time we hang out, it's a good time, and it's
that's
like
what
catching up and like just
That's what I mean.
doing
Like
like random
nobody,
stuff.
nothing. I mean, I can ask these questions because I don't have siblings, right?
Hmm.
And I have like entertained this idea, like, could this person be like my brother or my sister? But I can never really experience that because nobody has been living with you in the same household,
Hmm.
with the same condition, with the same parents who were ruling your most, like a
Hmm.
good chunk of your
Yeah.
life. And stuck with the same problems, have the same privileges. And that's what I think, like, I really wish I had a sibling just for the sake of experiencing that.
Hmm.
That there's this person that I hate them or love them, they're just my sibling. You know, it's
Yeah.
such an interesting
Yeah.
thing.
You don't get to choose.
Like, you never can feel the same way about your cousin. Because, well, yeah, great, sure, we have a lot of in common, but no. Or your parents. Parents could never be siblings. Ever.
No.
They're always, at the end of the day, their parents. So, such
But your
an.
parents can be your friends for sometimes.
Sure, sure. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very close to my parents in terms of, like, being friend. But there's this
Yeah.
thing.
There's always something. Yeah. I see them more as like my protectors, right? Not really like my. Well, that's why I see my parents. Than
Yeah, that's
like.
amazing. Good for your
Than
parents that
like.
you see them as your protectors, because I see myself as my parents'
Hmm.
protectors. That's why I feel I cannot really rely on them or depend on them or
Hmm.
ask things from them because I'm so concerned and I want to be protecting them.
Hmm. Yeah, I know, and but not like I for sure. I mean more like emotional protect. I don't know, like if I ever have something, I can just go cry at my mom,
That's
and,
right. That's a good
and
parent. I think
that's
that's what
like
parents
that's it.
supposed to be.
Or like if I need to talk, or like then I need to
Like
go stay with
judgment
them.
free,
Yeah, basically like I had
no
no
cost.
like no walls put up at all. Like it just
Exactly.
be like yeah, and it's kind of the same thing with my brothers too. Like we joke around still, we laugh, we'll do all these things like firework. I mean, it's like anytime we hang out, it's funny because we always kind of come back to like being kids. It's just like, like this one is bothering the other
Oh
one,
yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
things like that. Uh, so yeah, I never felt like that's why my parents always have to like, oh yeah, you guys like please don't ever change like how you are close brothers and not like
That's
you know
very healthy. That's very good. That's awesome.
yeah.
I honestly kudos to your parents because everything about that I don't think is anything other than parents and genetics. Like there is, I don't think anybody could do that for themselves.
Yeah. Well, they were like that because my dad's siblings, they're not close. Like, and he's like, I do not want you guys to be like me and my brothers or
But a lot
sisters.
of people are going through that, and also like they even want to not be that, but they don't know anything but that, and at the end of the day, it's still the
Yeah.
same thing. They created the same thing, or they did it until something major happened, and then here the real thing came out. Like I know a family like that they just were like kind of like the example of greatness and all that, and the parent died. None of that was there. Like
No.
they were like literally not talking to each other, trying to get money from each other. Things that they were example of now, like them being always there for each other, being the best friends, always. And then like the parents died, everything changed. Like the dynamic, like it came out that the parent was holding things together, and nothing was there, which was very similar to the same pattern that the family of the parents were. Like the siblings of the parents were. Very interesting. Very interesting. So what I really did, my mom wanted more children. My mom wanted like at least like 3 children. My dad didn't. Not that like he didn't care for children. He always thought like, oh, and that is at least what I've been told, that always thought like, oh, this timing wouldn't work out. Like this would affect her immensely, or would be like a big sacrifice on her, or like, oh, we are having this financial situation right now, and trouble, blah blah blah, and more like, oh, we're taking a risk because nobody's gonna be like her, and then the comparison is gonna be really bad. I think it's all more an excuse. I just feel he really didn't want to go through the complication of adding another child, because I honestly think if we did have another, or my parents had another child, uh, overall we would be a better family, because the pressure, financial pressure, responsibility pressure that comes with that makes you to make different kind of decisions, or just cut it off altogether, or if you're in, you be more in. I think, at least for my family, I cannot speak more generally, but my mom kept asking me if I wanted another sibling, and I said yes. I want an older brother.
Older brother.
And my mom was like, well, we cannot do that. Do you want like a younger brother? I'm like, nope. I don't want to take care of more. And my mom says that. I said I don't want to take care of more people. And I said that when I was like 6. That's just how, like, I don't want to take care of more people. I want somebody who supports me, who takes care of me. It's funny, like how my parents didn't pick up on that. They're thinking like, that's kind of like sketchy. Like, why is kids feeling this way?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I do think about that a lot. That do I want to be providing that for my family, and having like making sure that if I have children, it needs to be at least 2 so I can give them. But then something I think about very much is like, by doing that you do take a lot out of the first child. That child never needs to worry about, consider like a healthy relationship, right? That child doesn't need to worry about responsibility other than themselves, but now they have to learn how to take care of it, how to be the big sibling and do sacrifices while they never needed to, and they wouldn't be looking selfish because that was just not an option.
I'm trying to think. I'm an older brother. I never felt like I had
But
to
you are
sacrifice it.
not the firstborn.
No.
That's different. Like I really think it's so different that if you have older and younger, then it would be interesting to see if your older sibling feels really that I never like really felt I'm making any sacrifices. It would be very interesting to ask that, because it's always the case that even though they're the nicest and always been taken care of, there's something about them that feel like, yeah, but my parents really like the younger one or the youngest one, and I feel like I had to step up. Why do I have to do that?
Oh, for me, it was the opposite. I just, well, that's the other situation.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know if I ever felt like I was
But also, I
responsible
have
for.
this immense fear of like, would I be fair and wouldn't like favor a child? Because right now, like when there's only one child, Hate them, love them, one thing.
Yeah.
But I'm so scared of that. And apparently, if you talk to people, they always have favorite. If a parent is really honest, they always have favorites.
I think everybody will need different things. Like you're not gonna have the exact same kid
Sure
the
thing.
second time around,
That's
right?
sure thing, but the fact that the parent has a favorite,
I don't know if that's true or
it is
not.
very true.
Yeah,
I would say any parent that say otherwise, they're lying.
I'm trying to see.
Because your
Well,
parent is not going to tell you that we have a favorite. Some parents do tell
yeah,
children
they might have
afterwards.
their kid like,
But
actually, you, man.
but if they go like you just really like, if there's no consequences, then your children would never ever know. That means like
So what
something
does that
that they
mean?
have.
Does that mean like they just care more for that
It's
person?
different based on parents. So it means that they have like a softer part for them, so they're willing to do more for them, even though they think it's not justified, or they just simply wish that the other children were like more like them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is most of the cases. They're like, oh, I wish like this one was also like this one about this and this and this. But well, then they try to justify it on this and this. But there's this like little feeling like they just admire that kid for whatever reason. It could be
Mm-hmm.
just because they're funnier or they're smarter or they're like having they're more caring or they know how to talk better and be like charming. So because apparently after all we're human and that's fine and it could be very harmless, but it could be not harmless.
Yeah.
Like I
Well, it
just
depends how obvious you are with it, I guess.
right, but I worry. Like I worry about the overthinker person that I am. Just thinking about like the guilt
Like, what
that.
if I do love this one a little
What if
more?
I just feel just that if it's completely within me and I
Uh-huh.
do like wonderful job, but what if I just somewhere in my mind think like if it just passes my mind like why couldn't it be just more like your sister? Why couldn't it be just like your brother a little bit more?
Yeah, but
And
that's not necessarily bad, right?
yes, it is.
Like, but you just that you thought about it doesn't mean like you wish like it was that way, right? It would
But
be
what if the children
like a
feel that
momentary
way? Like
thing.
they feel like, oh, for example, my mom is from a big family like yours. She
Mm-hmm.
has 4 siblings, and she knows that who was my grandmother's favorite, and she does feel like she lost a lot of things because she wasn't the favorite kid, because she wasn't the prettiest, she wasn't the smartest, she wasn't the most ambitious one, and she does feel like she lost opportunities of that. But because and it became so her self defense became to feel like, oh no, but like I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But then I push her sometimes in certain things, and you feel like she actually does care a lot, but she just learned to swallow it and became part of her character. And now she is a person that when she faces difficulties, she just turns her head a little bit and pretends that it's not there because that's the only way she has learned to survive.
Hmm.
And becomes and parents' fault 100%. And I'm not saying that her parents could have done better than I'm sure they did the best they could considering their hardship. But after all, you brought that child to life. It's purely your responsibility.
Man, what
So
happens when those videos that I see people have like 12 kids? It's like, okay, who? I mean, someone needs to be like the trouble child.
oh
More
man,
than one at that point, probably. But I don't know. I guess. But you don't love them any less, right?
I don't know. I actually don't know.
I feel like if I ask any parent, they will say that.
Because they would say that,
I know,
oh, we
but
loved you all equally, but when you put it in the, like, if you create some situation that it's harder situation that they have to make sacrifices for you, which one of the kids would do more financial sacrifices, time sacrifices, all of that? I think they do. Most people they do differently. Some I'm sure there are people that they don't, and they're so amazing to do that and also make their children feel that we are being fair. Good for them, but I am just afraid. I feel like not exposing myself in that situation would be the best win.
the best way, yeah, just don't put myself in
Not
there.
putting yourself there, you wouldn't fail. I would never be able to fail as a parent in terms of
Yeah,
comparing them.
comparing them,
Because you can fail as a parent every day.
and then in other ways. Yeah, I don't know. I always wondered that too.
Yeah, how about you put in the comments.
Yeah, parents,
So
put it in
if
the
you, parents
comments.
put in the comments, children put in your comment, like,
Children.
yeah, because you think about, like, do you think you're the favorite? Do you think your siblings is the favorite? And what do you think your parent could have done differently? Because I think a sibling or a child is maybe the best judge because they also lived in that situation. Not even when they're like immature, but when they're like already an adult themselves, maybe they are parents themselves now. They can say, like, you know what, I really think my parent could have done this differently. That could affect us immensely.
Yeah, I'm trying because even among siblings, you might think like, well, my parents did this. Like one sibling will always look at something else that the dad or the mom did for the other kid,
Right.
right?
But when multiple siblings agree on one, what it was
Yeah,
the majority or whatever, it has a word I can't think of right now.
consensus.
Yes.
Then it's more of a real thing or
Which it
something.
happens a lot of time with families that they have, like, let's say they have like a last kid, so like more than two would be three. So those first two really think that the last one is spoiled or is like so entitled to everything that they have. And if you ask that child, they will be like, "Oh yeah, I get what I want." That right there, it just
That's
shows that
true.
that's not fair.
But that's also because of so many other things. Like it could be like, okay, now the parents like they made it further their careers. Now they can provide
Sure, but
more.
did they try to like compensate for the other one, or did they just
For
use
the
it?
adults?
Yeah, so like you're like, hey, we're noticing that we're spending this much time and money on this one. We noticed that we can just get you this now because you didn't get it when you were a child, but here you go. As an adult, get this 100, I don't know, this much money or this opportunity, or you get this much more share. Do you think how many parents would sit down and actually count that?
No, I mean, I wouldn't. Why would they do that? Or I don't know.
Why wouldn't they do that? It's just only fair.
But they're adults now.
Yeah, but it's still there. You're always my children. Haven't you heard that?
Yes, but what if you don't need money? They're gonna get you
They
money.
would need something. They could use something that could feel compensated. I feel.
But that would be me like saying like, well, mom, dad, you spend so much time with your grandkids. Like, what about me? Right? Like that doesn't.
Well, I know of a case, as a matter of fact, that they
But I
still
don't feel
spend
like
so
that.
much. What do
Like,
you
does
mean?
that count? Like, because they get to like be the babysitters for my brother and his wife, and like they get to do all these things because they don't. They're like, you know.
But I
Does
see as
that?
grandchildren not necessarily a favor to your child. Grandchildren are different kind of category for themselves.
Yeah, but you're still helping they spend time and energy
But
and
do you
effort
think that
and
your parents wouldn't do it even though they hated your brother? They love their grandchildren. It's no matter which kid is coming from.
I know, but you said they're doing it right. So are they supposed to compensate for all that time that they're helping my brother to the rest of us?
Because no, in my opinion, no, because grandchildren are their own species.
Okay.
That's in my opinion.
Well, okay.
They get a different compartment of the heart of people. It's just different. That's why same parent acts so differently towards grandchildren, and their rules and everything is different. Even though if they have, actually, I do know one of my father's side family that the child and grandchild are same age.
That's funny.
Yeah, because it's just
Yeah.
they married so young that they were still productive while they're and they treated the grandchild so differently than the child. It's crazy. And it was in a kind of situation, like in a village kind of situation, that they were hanging out like kind of in the same household all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you
kind of
have a
crazy.
different compartment. So there's a saying in Farsi that بچه زردالو بچه هسته بچه بادوم نوه هسته بادوم. So your child is almond, the almond as a fruit, but the grandchild is the seed. And even though, yes, sure, you have to take care of your almond to have the seed, but that seed is the seed. And it just, you have like something wired in people's brain that they have a different coding and different compartment for them. So I wouldn't take it on a parent that, oh, because you're spending time with the grandchild, you have to owe the other ones that they don't have children. In my mind, even though, yeah.
I mean, I don't think like that, bro. It's like,
Yeah, no, I know.
when you were saying like,
Good
well, they have to
argument.
compensate for
I
this.
understand. I would think like if I had siblings, and that would have been the case, I would have hold my parents accountable, like you owe this and this count, especially with money, because that's the easy
I mean, if I
quantification.
wanted to go by that, I would have lost a long time ago. Because they have help. I mean, but I don't blame them. Like with my younger brother, right? All the stuff that they had to spend
And it's not
money on.
just blaming, and maybe I'm saying this whole thing because I am so looking at it such an abstract way, but it's more of like addressing and acknowledging it. Like if a parent like was like, oh yeah, we didn't do this for you and this because we didn't have it, but now we can do it, and that already just calms me down. Like, oh, you're not like
Yeah, I mean, they always say like, we had to do all this. Like they said, don't you understand that we didn't? They had to do this for your other siblings, and we're still doing it for you, but for the younger, not for me.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. Well, I mean,
But I don't feel like they owe me more.
but they do acknowledge that. That already, I think.
Yeah, they acknowledge like, yeah, like this one was just, took everything out of us kind of thing.
But
But
but I have seen cases that the parents still like no, like they're trying to justify it. No, 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 that's not true because they just love that last kid so much. Specifically in the cases that one is far, like they're not spaced out so equally. They're like 10 years difference. That just brought so much joy and everything to them. They really think that they deserved more.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, those kids are entirely less flawed.
I mean, I think it does happen because it's the last one. And I mean, even when I was little, used to spoil my little brother because we thought, oh, he has the baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
But we were like, I mean, we weren't that far apart, but still, like.
You are. I think one of the maybe success factors that you are so bonded, Bill, and feel like we grew up together as a team is the very nicely spaced out. Like even the last one, the first one, are maybe far from each other, but not really. Like a lot of family have that just difference between first sibling, second sibling.
Mm-hmm.
That probably has to do with it. That your mom was very active in that era.
Yes.
Yeah,
2 in 1 year.
Yes. Well, yeah. We just want to look back. We came from. Do you count your siblings as friends that we got here?
Yes.
Just want to say, like, we're not really off topic. We're just
still on the
branching
friendship. Yeah, branching out.
Yes, teach us. I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of backlash. People are like, "Why are you thinking?" Well, obviously,
Like, how do you?
I mean, I would love that I can think that I'm gonna get backlash from nobody reviewing us. The imaginary comments are gonna be so negative toward me, and I understand. And I think I can really dissociate myself and be very abstract about it because I just don't have siblings, and I can just sit down and think of it super theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes me the best judge, wouldn't it?
Does it?
No, of course not. But I obviously am not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
That when it's like most of the studies that we design and you make it so theoretically, but when it comes to the actual doing it, everything changes, and it makes it actually more true. Then you would think which one is true, the one that is on paper and following the laws and regulations, or the one is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna end on that.
You're gonna end on that?
Yes. Because I have a meeting in 3 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Okay. Well, next time we'll have a different topic.
Yes.
And I think maybe we can read one of those. For jump on the trend of reading one of the Reddit stories. We'll see. I'll pick a nice subreddit to read off.
Or suggest us.
Oh, yeah, suggest us in the comments.
Suggest us.
Can always
quit
suggest.
judging me and then start like coming up with things.
Why do you think they're always judging you, not me?
Because you're the nice one.
I'm the nice one.
I'm playing the devil's advocate or the devil.
I can play the devil's advocate.
You should do that. Make me look nicer so I don't get this much backlash from our reviewers or from our fans.
Reviewers.
Or the fans.
The manuscript that we're submitting. No.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, we will record something next week. See y'all next time. Let's skedaddle.
Talk to you guys. Skedaddle. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.